Welcome in to the Uncrowned Post-Fight Show, this time for UFC 313. I am your host, Connor Burks, joined alongside me, my man, Eric Jackman. We just saw Magomed Ankalaev become the new UFC light heavyweight champion of the world. Let's go ahead and bring in our guy, Mr. Ariel Helwani, to help us react to what we just saw. Ariel, what is good, my man?
Hello, friends. How are you? Hope everyone is doing well. Great job, great night, great show. In this moment, guys, I'm reminded of an interaction that I had with a young man named Jared Shaw, aka Scala, back in October of 2008. This was after Seth Petrozelli knocked out Kimbo Slice in Fort Lauderdale. And when I did the post-fight interview with him for the lategrademmmarated.com, I asked him, Jared, is this your worst nightmare? And he was all shifty and tried to pretend like it wasn't. And if I was at UFC 313, that's the first question that I would ask Dana White. And he wouldn't admit to it, but make no mistake about it, this is a nightmare scenario for the UFC. And I say that only because Alex Pereira, and I was trying to rack my brain as we were getting ready to go here, Alex Pereira is arguably the most popular active fighter in the UFC right now. I stress active because Conor McGregor, as long as he's still living and breathing and still a UFC fighter under contract, he will always be the most popular, but he's not so active these days. He hasn't fought since 2021. And he just lost his title in a very close fight, and we'll weigh in on how it should have gone in a moment, to someone who is nowhere near as popular as him, not even in the same stratosphere. And I was trying to find a historical comparison to this moment. Supremely popular fighter losing the belt to a not so popular fighter. And I can't really think of one. Like, I'm thinking of RDA beating Anthony Pettis at UFC 185, but that's not really fair to RDA, and he didn't really hold the title for all that long, and Pettis didn't hold the title for all that long. I'm thinking of Carla Esparza beating Rose Namajunas at 274, but still it doesn't quite feel the same. I feel like this is unique. This has never been done before. This has never happened before. This is obviously something that was possible. This is something that we all talked about going in, the UFC's star problem, and how big of a issue this would be if it went this way, if this result actually materialized. And now here we are staring at Magomed Ankalaev as a light heavyweight champion. And guys, don't listen to me. Don't believe me when I tell you that this is a nightmare. Just look at the UFC's actions. They did everything in their power not to give this guy a title shot because they did not want to face the reality of him being a champion. Same situation with Bilal Muhammad, and the same situation ended up happening. In the end, in case you're wondering, I scored it for Alex Pereira. And that's a shoot. That's from the heart. I had it 3-2 for him. I thought he won 48-47. First round was easy to score. Alex Pereira. Second round, easy to score, Magomed Ankalaev. We'll skip the third for a moment. Fourth, easy to score, Ankalaev. Fifth, easy to score, Pereira. It all came down to the third round. Yeah. I had it for Alex Pereira. It appears as though the judges here, I'm looking at it in real time, Ankalaev. They all had it for Ankalaev. You get 49-46 and 2 48-47s. I have no idea how... Did one judge not... Can we put that back up?
Round 3 was the swing. Round 3 was the swing.
No, but they all gave the... How did Sal D'Amato get... He gave him the fifth round?
He gave him the fifth,
Get the fuck out of here with the fifth. What are you talking about? How is that possible? He did nothing in the fifth. He did nothing. And I mentioned in my tweet that he stuffed the takedowns. I'm not saying that that's a reason to score the round for Pereira. I'm just saying... The big talking point going into this fight was that he was just going to wrestle F him all day. In the end, he didn't take him down once, I believe. There was not one successful takedown. So all that ended up being a moot point.
I mean, that's almost, something to wear in his hat, right? That he was able to get it done against Alex Pereira without having to take him down. I think that's an accomplishment that he can tout. So you had 135, yes? It sounds like you're on the same.
I had 135. Yeah. What did you guys have?
We both had 135 for Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
I thought the third round was close. I do think Alex did the better work there. That became the swing round. I'm okay with that. Ultimately, that is a decision that I find acceptable. If you give Ankalaev 2-3-4, I'm not going to argue too hard with you. But I don't see how you give him 5. And I thought Alex won round 3. What did you make of the strategy from both guys? To me, when we were sitting here watching this, I was a little bit surprised by the lack of hands being thrown by Alex Pereira. He was good on the kicks. He was utilizing the leg kicks, but he didn't really seem to want to just like unload, and maybe that was a product of Magomed Ankalaev's pressure. But on the other hand, when it got into round 4, I thought Magomed had his most success of the fight, and then he kind of abandoned it in round 5. I thought he gave that one away. That would have been a real stamp on the fight. What did you make of both guys?
Look, Alex had to be cognizant of the threat of the takedown, so perhaps he wasn't going to be as aggressive moving forward, even though I think it was the 5th round where Glover Teixeira was telling him to just, be aggressive and move forward and don't worry about it, because there was nothing to worry about. In the end, 0 for 12 with takedowns. But I thought it was really interesting in the first round, they were talking about, well, maybe because Magomed Ankalaev's a lefty, he's a southpaw, the leg kicks wouldn't be as big of a factor. And immediately as they said that, you saw Alex Pereira attacking the legs from the inside from the outside, and he did a great job of doing that. And you could see the calves really starting to become a problem. Credit to Ankalaev, he figured it out, and he stood toe to toe with him. And I thought he rebounded beautifully in the second round. And of course, in the 4th round, it was, probably the most dominant of any of the rounds, if we're being honest. 4th round and maybe the 1st for Alex Pereira. But I remember
the second, it seemed Magomed had him hurt. So 2 and 4 to me.
Yes.
2 and 4 were very clear for Pereira.
Yes, absolutely. He
for Ankalaev.
Yes, he did have him hurt in like the last 10 seconds or something like that. So that's 100% accurate. I just meant over the course of the entire 5 minutes. But yes, that was a defining moment in the fight. I remember when this fight was first announced, we were talking about it, and I didn't think that this would be a grapple fest, because you just look at his history. We were going through the history so it sort of ended up being what a lot of us expected. In the end, I said that I thought that Pereira was going to win via KO or TKO. It didn't happen. And, he was kind of trying to say in the post-fight interview that, yes, he was pressing me up against the cage. We were clinching, but I was doing damage up against the cage. You don't know. The stats have just come out. I'm looking at them now. That 3rd round, which seems to be the big one, and again, the stats don't necessarily tell the whole story, but Pereira lands 21 of 34. Ankalaev lands 17 of 40. And that's significant strikes. And according to this website, UFC Stats, the significant and total strikes are the exact same, which I'm not sure how accurate that is. But in any event, and as far as the 5th round is concerned, Pereira lands 14 of 21 and Ankalaev 20 of 36. By the way, I am not like crying robbery or crying. It was a supremely close fight. And perhaps watching it again, we come to the conclusion that the 3rd round goes to Ankalaev. But I'm just saying, upon watching it in real time, I thought Pereira won. What would that be? 47-46.
48-47.
48-47. It's been a long freaking day. And if we're being honest, it wasn't a very good fight, right? Like it was.
On both sides, it was not very entertaining.
It was not entertaining on both sides. There were no real holy shit moments. Probably the only holy shit moment was that 2nd round, right? The very end over there. But it never clicked. And I'm really curious to see what the UFC does now, because you can make a very strong case that he has been so good as light heavyweight champion that he deserves another crack. And that's probably the best case scenario for them. Now, people will say, hey, you're just trying to get him to right the wrong. You're just trying to get him to win. But who deserves it more than him? Because anyone that you could say deserves it more than him, he has already beaten. And he's beaten in quite decisive fashion. So I know I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I'd love to know what you guys think. I think they should just run this back.
I think you move up to heavyweight. You take this as a sign. Magomed, it's your time. Have this. And the same way it happened at middleweight. I lost. I'm moving on. Alex Pereira does not need a belt. And so he's done his time at light heavyweight. New challenge to conquer. I'm going to go up to heavyweight, where I'm going to have a speed advantage over a lot of guys and have an opportunity to really achieve something great if I can capture a 3rd title. That's where I would go if I was in Alex's shoes.
Okay, so let me ask you this: you're moving up to heavyweight. If you're moving up, you're fighting for the belt, or you want to fight for the belt. Yes?
I want Tom or John.
What about the winner of Tom or John?
Yeah,
sounds great.
Does he get the belt right off rip now that
he's Alex Pereira?
Champion?
Yeah.
What do you mean? So you're saying that he should leapfrog Tom?
He could. I don't have a problem with it.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, I have a hard time.
He's the interim champion. He's interim. Tom is interim champion. What are we doing? He's going to leapfrog the interim champion.
I think
I have no issue with it.
If we're making the comparison to middleweight, I think at this point he takes a fight at heavyweight before he fights for the belt.
Yeah,
I don't hate that
either. I don't hate it, but I feel like there's work to be done now at 205.
Let's say he gets that done though. Let's say he wins the fight against Magomed. Then there's going to be the call for a trilogy. Like, it just feels like it overly complicates something that's
let me
more
tell you
simple.
Something. The game, if he wins,
I know that he wouldn't get it. I know he wouldn't get it.
Take that W and run away.
But then what? Do you defend it again, or do you say, okay, now I recaptured it, now you go up to heavyweight? Why delay the inevitable, in my opinion? The heavyweight is always the future for Alex Pereira.
If he rematches with Ankalaev and loses again, now he's really starting to lose some juice. He's only getting older. Then you have to take a fight at heavyweight that isn't against the champion. And what if the heavyweight experiment doesn't go as well as the light heavyweight experiment, and he ends up, fighting Cyril Gane or someone and losing that fight, and now he's on a 3-fight losing streak, and you're kind of wondering what to do with him at 39, 40 years old at that point.
Alex Pereira can win this fight. You know what I mean?
I believe that for sure.
I thought he won the fight.
I know, but I'm just saying. Yeah, no, 100%. So did I. I'm just saying I don't think it's a huge risk running it back, and him moving up after losing to Izzy, there were some issues making weight. He had already beaten Izzy. You want to do this all over again? Okay, let's go for a new challenge. Although yesterday, important to note, they were posting videos of him having a really hard time making 205. And so maybe that was some foreshadowing. But I don't want to see Tom get leapfrogged, and I want to see Tom versus John. Here's what we're not saying. Maybe this ends up being a blessing in disguise for the UFC, because if John Jones is asking for a lot of money and they can't make that fight, they put together Tom versus Alex, and maybe that softens the blow.
I think that'd be a great fight.
What's that for? The vacant heavyweight title?
Yeah. No, it's
Interim.
it's
He's defending.
no. If you can't make the John Jones fight, then you have to strip him.
That's what I'm saying. Vacant heavyweight title.
No. Then Tom becomes champion.
Tom just becomes champ.
Yeah, same thing as what happened with GSP. GSP beat Michael Bisping. He said he had stomach issues. They made Robert Whittaker he went from interim to actual champion. I think that would be the exact same thing.
I'm open to all these options. I think it has to be heavyweight next. I just don't see it. We're just delaying. We're just delaying something that is going to happen inevitably, and I don't think a get back against Magomed does much for Alex. Like, he can jump up now. We're talking a lot about Alex, obviously.
I think, by the way, I think he's pissed. Like, that post-fight interview, he seemed pissed. I think he's pissed. Even with the translation, you see what he was saying at the end. He was like throwing some shade. He wasn't necessarily saying the better man won. I think he thinks he won as well. And so it's one thing to get knocked out. Hey, what was he, 3-1 against Izzy at that point, if you count the kickboxing fights? My hunch says he says, give me him again, and I'm going to make this right. That's what my hunch says.
Well, that's kind of thing is just like you sort of wanted. We were saying as the fight was ending, we wanted someone to just put a stamp on it. I mean, I guess one judge having it 49-46 is the stamp and it being unanimous. But man, we were hoping down the stretch of that fifth round, someone would put a stamp and like make it clear cut on who won. Because at this point, the way Ankalaev got the belt was sort of like a half-hearted. Like he won the fight, but some people scored it for Pereira. Like I would have liked to see a stamp put on it.
Do you guys agree with me when I say this is a disaster?
Yes.
Like
It's not great for the UFC.
But we have to acknowledge it might have been inevitable anyway,
Yeah.
right? Let's say Alex wins this fight and then goes up to heavyweight, right? Like heavyweight seems I can't escape the feeling that heavyweight was always the future, that there really wasn't much left for Alex Pereira at light heavyweight. This may have been inevitable. His next fight might have been for the vacant title. Who knows? And so
I mean, here's why it maybe isn't a disaster. Like, it wasn't a star-building performance by Ankalaev. Despite him getting the belt, it really wasn't a star-building performance. Light heavyweight is now completely open if they don't run the rematch. You can put Yuri back in there. Jamal Hill can get another shot. Carlos Ulberg can come out of nowhere. Jan Blachowicz. Like, you have plenty of fresh matchups at 205 now, if that's the case of Pereira going up to heavyweight.
So the only thing that I'll say is if you believe that this was inevitable, then even if Alex would have won, Alex wins, vacates the title, you're putting together one of those guys in a title fight. Now you've got a very good and very durable and very talented Ankalaev holding the belt. Do you know what I mean? So if he would have won and said, I'm moving up, I'm vacating the title, that's a much better scenario for the UFC because A, he's coming off a win, and B, he just knocked off Ankalaev, who they've already given a title shot to and were unhappy with how that fight went the first time around. But at least he beat him, so he goes to the bottom of the ladder. They didn't want him in the title fight.
Yeah.
So that's why this is a disaster. Can you recall, Rick, a situation where someone so popular lost to someone who just wasn't,
No,
and I know people are, by the way, I can read the comments now. He's being a hater. He's being this. Guys, just be real. They did not want to give him a title shot. They did everything in their power not to give him a title shot. It's the Bilal situation all over again. And eventually, we were all saying it. He had to fight for the belt, as did Bilal. There has to be a meritocracy. And sometimes you're going to reach these situations where the guy with the not so fun style fights for the belt and wins. It just happens. That's because they're that damn good. But this is the truth of the matter, so we have to discuss it.
It's not a direct comparison because, as you said, you're pointing to like some of the work that Alex Pereira did, but certainly I have to imagine Sean O'Malley was somebody that the UFC would have been happier to have win than Merab Dvalishvili. But again, like not exactly the same in terms of what Alex.
Not a bad shout.
And now, as we've seen with Merab, he's been able to go on and make himself a bigger star for the UFC, and maybe the same could be said of Ankalaev.
I mean, winning gives you fans. They showed the graphic at the end. He now has the second or third longest active winning streak. I mean, he's one win behind Islam for most consecutive wins. He's at 14 right now. If he just keeps winning, he will get fans for sure.
I wonder what the chat is saying. What are the chats saying? I see the first thing I see is you guys are crying. I'm loving it. Okay, and then another one says Ariel is right. 100%. So
you're crying and you're right.
The crying thing is crazy. The crying thing is crazy.
We're not crying. I can assure you. Not
only am I not crying, I am more excited. I want to see Alex Pereira at heavyweight. I hope this expedites it, and I hope his next fight is at heavyweight. I have no interest in him running it back. He gets it.
That's crazy.
I'm
actually really excited to see Alex with like some. Okay, so you remember there was that whole story that came out, and I'm sure this will get resurfaced. I think it was on the new ESPN show, Good Guy, Bad Guy.
Heard of it.
The new is it still new or is it not new anymore?
There were 6 promos tonight for it.
They were having a debate about whether or not he was doing too much, that he was traveling too much.
Okay.
That,
Yeah.
So
not focused.
I wonder if this comes out, and if that is the case, I would love to see if that is the case, like just a storyline of I'm coming for revenge. I'm coming to take back what is mine.
He's locked in a dark room. He's really like he's doing the Rocky in the mountains, and he's getting his lick back. But again, I continue. Even if that happens, and then he beats Magomed Ankalaev, what was that win worth? What was the rematch worth? He could have already been chasing another belt at heavyweight.
And then what do you do? More. And then what do you do at 205 after that?
Then he vacates and then goes back to heavyweight.
Yeah,
but just delaying.
Gets to do. Okay. So let me ask you this: if he moves up, who fights Ankalaev next?
That's the question I was going to ask.
Yuri?
Do you do Yuri or do you wait to see what happens in Jamal Hill's neck? Like I'm
Roundtree, Jamal Hill.
I'm interested in that one. That could be a number 1 contender fight. You could easily put Yuri right in there.
I was going to say, do you even give it to Jamal because Yuri just beat him recently?
I have no issue with that.
I mean, Yuri is also a massive star. It would be a very similar situation to this fight, where you kind of have this babyface star going against Ankalaev, but this time obviously trying to take his belt away.
The thing that you said, Connor, and that is true, is like now all options are on the table at light heavyweight.
Yeah.
All those things that Alex Pereira shut down because he was running through the contenders over and over, these things are now all possible. And I don't think, call me crying or whatever, that performance by Magomed Ankalaev did not make me think he is untouchable. Did not make me think that there is not somebody else at light heavyweight that could put him into a fight. We saw what Khalil Roundtree did in terms of damaging Alex Pereira, and then we saw what Magomed Ankalaev did. I would not feel like Magomed Ankalaev is going to walk through the rest of this division. So I'm excited about potential matchups there. I think it's time for him to have that run, Alex Pereira, onto greener pastures.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's if that is the case, then we see what happens with Jones and Aspinall. If he wants to wait for the winner of that, that means we go from him having a supremely active 2024 to to the possibility of not even fighting again in 2025, which I don't even know if he's wired that way. Plus, he's getting up there, right? He's approaching 40. He's 37, 38 at the moment. I wouldn't love that. So anyway.
True or false? Alex Pereira's price tag will be lower than John Jones's for a fight with Tom Aspinall.
Oh, 100%. That's why I say there's a potential silver lining here for the UFC, because they can now say, all right, John, you're not going to play ball. We're just going to go in this direction. And I think people would dig it. I think people would get behind it. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, do you feel like, Pereira, we joke about aura and stuff like that. Pereira has aura, right?
100%.
Do you feel like his aura has taken a hit? Do you feel like he is less popular today, or like right now, as opposed to 3 hours ago? Do you think he is less of a star, less invincible in the fans' eyes? He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get dominated. He didn't get embarrassed. So my answer is no, it didn't take a hit. What do you guys think?
Yeah, everyone will still love him, but like MMA fans are the most fickle in the world. Like I already saw, comments in the chat, like as we were entering round 5, people were like, Pereira enjoying the champ life too much. Like the invincibility will definitely take a hit, things like that. Like there will be people that will say that, he's gone down in their rankings and everything like that by losing the fight, but he's still a massive star that will draw eyes every single time that he fights.
If yes, minimally, and we won't know until the next fight. Because if he walked in a fight against Tom Aspinall and he beats Tom Aspinall, he'd be 10x further than he was before. And so we won't know the real answer to that. It's going to really depend on who he's matched up with and how he fares in that contest. I don't think he took an immediate hit. If any, it's tiny.
The heavyweight is incredibly intriguing. I'm sure they would do a whole social media run of him bulking up, getting big, making this whole thing of his debut at heavyweight, and everyone would tune in. It would be wildly intriguing.
What do you vote for, GC? As far as the next move?
I think I'd probably actually side with Rick due to his age, due to the cut we saw he went through yesterday to get down to 205. If you do run it back with him, then what do you do with 205? If he wins the belt, do you do a trilogy? Do you all these guys that he's already beaten at 205? I like the idea of going to heavyweight and seeing what happens there.
Dang.
I think we have to. Go ahead, Ariel.
No. I just wanted to say I wanted to give a shout out to super chatter Rodrigo Malossi, who writes that he is Brazilian, and he said that Poatan was pissed afterwards. Yes, he said the quote was, "I was on the fence, but I was hurting him even with my back to the fence. If grabbing the fence means winning, then guys will keep doing that to get the win."
Yeah.
So it seemed like he was pissed.
He feels like he was hard done, and he's
That's
right.
why I feel like he's not going to be like, yeah, you get this one. I'm going to move on.
He might not.
I totally understand that. I just think the bigger fights are ahead at heavyweight. Where was I going to go?
Legacy. You need to right the wrong.
This is what I was going to say. I don't like.
How many people are signing up for that rematch as well?
It's just the one, and then what?
I'm actually intrigued. I'm actually intrigued as has he had what was his second UFC fight wasn't great, but like
Jan wasn't great.
Nah, this was the most boring one.
Jan wasn't great.
This was the most boring one.
Jan was kind of intriguing. I didn't mind the Jan fight.
Jan was better than this one.
Okay,
Bruno Silva was better than this one.
Here's the thing that I think we might have to acknowledge.
I like the story. Yes, go ahead.
But it gets us right back to the same spot. That's my problem with it. Yes, it's great. It's a great story for that one fight, and then what? We're exactly where we were before the fight was
All right,
made.
you know what, Ariel? Now that I think about it, with what you're saying, I'm gonna say that I would prefer him go to heavyweight, but because of what you're saying, I think what he'll actually do is remain at light heavyweight and do a rematch.
Here's the thing we might not be acknowledging. And we've kind of been talking around it, and you've been asking questions that I think are getting to this point. I think we can state it plainly. There is a real chance that this magical run that Alex Pereira was on is over, that tonight was the night. Tonight was the night that ended, that Magomed Ankalaev put an end to that, and it doesn't matter who's next. This might have been it. And so, in my mind, if that is true, I want to take one more shot. I want to take one more shot, and I want to make it count, and I don't want it to be in a rematch, and I don't want him to potentially lose to Magomed. I want him to either put over Tom Aspinall or him to go over Tom Aspinall and then set up the massive fight against Jon Jones. I want one more shot at that as opposed to going that same direction. That's my feeling. Because this run, it may have ended. It may have ended tonight, and I want to take one more shot at something magical.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And sometimes you lose that fight, and like you see with Volk, who knows if he gets the belt back? Of course, he got knocked out twice. I will say, I feel like we had a similar conversation when he got knocked out by Izzy, and we thought that was it. And look what he became legendary in the aftermath.
And it was
at
the division up.
Yeah. So who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? But I think it's going to be really interesting to see two things. A, which direction does he go up? Does he stay? And B, how quickly does he try to come back? He's been so active. What was that? So he fought three times in 2024 in the span of 6 months. And I remember after the Roundtree fight, I said, come back in the summer. He comes back in March. So that's 4 times in less than a year, because UFC 300, he fought 4 times in less than a year. It's crazy for someone at his age fighting the best of the best in his weight class. Does he take a crazy amount of time off, or does he come back on June 28th? He's a psychopath. Maybe he comes back June 28th to try to right the wrong.
He comes back.
I was telling Rick on Thursday, this was actually, if I'm not mistaken, the longest we had seen him go without a fight by like a day. The longest we had seen him go in the UFC without a fight. And it was like 5 months and 3 days or something like that. Yeah, I mean, he has been good for 3 fights a year since he joined the UFC in fall of 2021.
Dana White said on First Take that Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall might happen this summer. So if Jon Jones can't make that fight, I got a guy that I bet would come back this summer and fight.
Well, the clock is ticking on that one because, I was told that Jon wants 6 months to prepare if the fight is locked in. And what's 6 months from now? September? Now, I'm sure, money talks, but it feels like the summer, if that is the goal, it's starting to slip away a little bit. Yuri Prochaska just tweeted, "Congrats on Ankalaev, beautiful pressure. Most of people don't like it, but you won the title for now."
Happiest man in the world right now, I think, is Yuri Prochaska. Yeah. That door just flung open.
Yo. Wait for the last sentence.
Oh, okay.
The last sentence is, Alex Pereira, last dance?
Wow, he wants Alex.
Yes.
He's a psycho. Yuri's a psycho.
He's not even asking for
Yuri's
the belt.
a psycho. I love it.
He wants a #1 contender fight against the guy that already beat him twice. It's amazing.
I love Yuri.
That's crazy. When does that ever happen?
Never.
He wants his lick back. He only wants to beat Alex.
So I guess maybe that would be like the argument for Alex doing the rematch against Ankalaev. Just wants the lick back.
One thing I just want to mention while we're talking about the Jon, Tom, Alex stuff. Can you put Tom Aspinall in a fight that is not Jon Jones? And if Jon Jones says, I need 6 months and I need X number of millions of dollars, you almost are forcing the hand, right? The only people that you can call are Alex Pereira and who else? I don't know who else you can call that would be a worthy fight for Tom Aspinall's fight until they can figure out the Jon Jones
No,
situation.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean, there's Cyril Gane, there's Jailton Almeida.
But does that feel like Tom's next fight? Like, can you do that? If you were banking on Jon Jones and you go, yeah, you know what? It's Jailton Almeida and it's Cyril Gane after that horrible performance.
Cyril Gane with the injury coming off the robbery, like no one wants to watch that. And then Jailton Almeida has no star power compared to Alex Pereira.
The hand is almost forced. If I'm Alex Pereira, I don't rush into anything. Let me just sit back, see how it plays out.
Yeah. I will say this, that video that Tom Aspinall posted this week where he's on the train talking about his whole situation, he said, I'm okay with fighting anyone, but it has to be for the undisputed title.
Yeah.
So
he's not defending interim.
Exactly. So I think that if they tell him, look, you're becoming undisputed champ now, and you'll fight Almeida or Gane, he does it.
Oh, sure.
I don't think there's any world where he accepts an interim fight against those guys. And honestly, I don't think there's a world where he accepts an interim fight against Pereira, even though we would all love it. And at that point, it will feel like the real belt, regardless of whatever Jon Jones is doing.
Yep.
That's why there's a silver lining here if they want to go in that direction. But again, I maintain that Alex Pereira won't go in that direction. Just this is not talking to anyone on his team. Just the vibe
what
from
he
him
said.
In aftermath.
Yep.
Right the wrong, and maybe Yuri. I'd love to see Yuri against Roundtree if Roundtree beats Jamal Hill. 205 is interesting now. It does make things interesting. He was running out of opponents. So let's see what happens. Can we talk about the co-main event, guys?
Yeah, please.
Can we talk about Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev, because I have something to say.
Oh no!
I think they got that one wrong too.
I disagree. I had that one for Justin, but it was incredibly close.
Here's my take on it.
Okay.
We agree first round Fiziev, right?
Fiziev.
We agree second round.
Of course.
Gaethje.
It all came down to round three.
So I saw some people saying 10-8 second round. I don't think it was 10. This isn't boxing.
No.
This isn't boxing where a knockdown is 100% a 10-8. Third round, first half of the third round was all Fiziev.
I agree.
The amount of body shots, kicks, and punches, that was some of the most effective striking of the entire fight. Second half of the third round was all Gaethje. But my take is the damage inflicted in the first half of the third round was way more significant than the damage inflicted in the second half of the third round by Gaethje. And so I tweeted, I think Fiziev wins this fight, but I guarantee you they're going to score this for Gaethje. And they did. You see the scorecards right here. All equal, right? Quick glance. Yeah. They're all 29-28 in favor of Gaethje. Second and third for him. I thought Fiziev did enough. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. I had it the same way.
Oh, you did?
I had it the same way. I thought it was the closest round. Clearly, right? We all three agreed. 1 clearly for Fiziev, 2 clearly for Gaethje. It was a very close round. I had the exact same thought. People were forgetting about the early work that Fiziev did, so I scored it that way. I understand. Like that is fractional. It is extremely close. I understand why somebody would score it for Gaethje. I had it the same way you did.
As far as the stats are concerned. And by the way, attacking the body was clearly a big part of his game plan for Fiziev. 13 of 14 in the first round, this according to UFC stats. 9 of 13 in the second round. 21 of 25 in the third round. Gaethje just 4 of 4, 4 of 4, and 1 of 1 in that third round. So he landed 21 of 25, only 8 of 21 head strikes, and Gaethje 33 of 55. So, they were both attacking different parts of the body. But again, I really felt like the body shots, like some of those kicks and the punches as well, they were flush. I thought it was a brilliant game plan. I was a little surprised that he went away from the takedowns. Remember in the first round, scored 2 takedowns, and then that was it.
In the first 90 seconds, he got 2 takedowns.
Yes. No attempts afterwards. So I don't know if something happened. That because it was A, surprising that he was even doing that, and B, that he was so successful, but then he never went back to that well.
I wonder though if that was just because it was a surprise, right? He got those off. He was able to secure the first round. I don't think that was probably the game plan. The body shots were what he was focusing on. In the third, he kind of returned to it. I will say the visual at the end, while he had that first half of the third round, the visual at the end was not good. He was completely gassed. And I said to Connor, like everybody was asking for 5 rounds, I do not think he makes it out of round 4. I do not think Fiziev makes it out of round 4 if that goes to another round. I thought Justin had all the momentum and he looked completely fresh, and Fiziev looked completely gassed. But I'm with you. I had the first half for Fiziev. I thought it was a lot more damage, and so I scored it for him.
By the way, question for our betting expert. Were you surprised, GC, that Fiziev was the favorite after taking the fight just a few days ago?
We got to like minus 170 at one point, and that's when I bet Justin Gaethje at plus 45. So yeah, I mean, the fact that Gaethje won the first fight, it was incredibly close. And this fight was super similar to the last one in the fact that Fiziev won the first round, Gaethje won the second round, and then it was an ultra close third round. And I think at one point, Justin actually went for a takedown like he did in the last fight. It was unsuccessful. But yeah, I mean, just another razor close fight. First one was a majority decision. I expected this one to be close. Gaethje this time came closest to finishing him. But yeah, I thought it was pretty surprising to see as a dog, especially when he was the one that had the full camp and Fiziev did not. And Fiziev had to travel all the way across the world. So yeah, I thought it was shocking. Took Gaethje as a dog. Super close fight. Don't have anything against 29-28 either way.
As we speak right now, Justin Gaethje's at the post-fight press conference, and he was asked if he would want to be Dustin Poirier's final opponent, his retirement fight,
the rubber match.
And his answer was, quote, "I don't think either of our families deserve that." That fight, by the way, won the Fight of the Night award. he was also making the case for getting the next title shot. And I believe it was Mike Bond of MMA Junkie who said, how do you explain getting the shot over, say, Armin or Charles? And his response was, I don't care. Argue with yourself.
Okay, but I was just going to ask the question, what do you do with him next? I don't think Armin versus Justin is a bad option.
Armin versus Justin isn't bad. I do wonder if they're going to just try to do Armin versus Charles. Ilya versus Islam, Armin versus Charles.
Could do.
And so Justin's in this weird limbo.
If one of those guys doesn't go, I have no problem Justin Gaethje hopping right into that spot. No problem. I think those are great fights, and I think look, he's number 3 on the UFC's rankings. The only 2 guys ahead of him are the ones you just mentioned, are Armin and Charles. So
here's what I'll say. I think it should be Armin. I think it should be Armin versus Charles, Islam versus Ilya. We'll skip Justin for a second. He's 3rd. There's Dustin. The guy right below him is Max. I think it should be Dustin versus Max in the summer. I think you agree with me, New York Rick. What a great story that would be. They fought many moons ago in Max's debut.
Re-rack Gaethje Hooker.
That was Max's debut. Holy shit.
That was Max's debut.
And
yeah,
it could be Dustin's last. That'd be incredible. That'd be incredible.
Dan Hooker is out for a while. Hooker versus Gaethje obviously is the one that we all wanted, but does he wait?
If I'm Justin,
by the way,
I don't want to do
Gaethje doesn't want to. He doesn't like being supremely active. He's the one who always says I need 6, 7, 8 months. So it actually might work out to be Dan Hooker, which who would be upset with that? The other one I was going to mention was if Patty beats Chandler, do you do Patty versus Gaethje?
That's a fight right there.
That's not bad.
That's a fight for the fall. Maybe the Abu Dhabi show. Who knows?
If I'm Justin, though, I just did you a favor. I'm going to fight Dan Hooker. No problem. Sign me up. I'm going to war. I'm going to give you guys an absolute war. I'm fighting a guy lower ranked. Oh, that falls apart. Fiziev, what was he, 13, I think
11.
you said? 11?
He's 11, yeah. Short
Notice? No problem. I can't then again go back to the well like that. I deserve something higher than that. I deserve something better. If he's calling for a title shot, I don't blame him. I need to be fighting one away from a title shot and not back in the rankings again.
I think some things need to be worked out. I would still have to see the Hooker one. I totally understand what you're saying. I just don't know if Patty scores an incredible. By the way, if Chandler gets a big win, why not see that one?
These are great, but what do they do for Justin? Is he just the favors guy at this point? I'm just in there to go to war for you, not advance my own career.
Can you justify a Justin?
No, he needs one more. He needs one more.
Lost to Charles.
At the very least.
Lost to Max. He
got knocked out.
Yeah.
And by the way, I hope everyone do you remember when people were complaining when they pulled this rabbit out of their hat?
Oh.
When they said this was going to be
sickening.
Boring, or they said that this was a bad, alternative, or that it was whatever, I don't know, worse than some of the other options. I hope you feel very stupid right now. I couldn't believe. I think it was just maybe they didn't know who Fiziev was, or forgot how
incredible he
was.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago that he fought. It's September of 2023, but golly.
It's an eternity in MMA.
Yeah. He reminded them.
They forgot who that dude was, and then he showed it tonight.
Yeah, what do they do with him next?
I mean, that's a one that's a stock up.
I feel like you get the Gamrot rematch.
Gamrot could be
Moicano?
fun.
What about Moicano?
Moicano wouldn't be bad.
11-10.
Who called out Dariush? Who was
that was
Mauricio
Huffy, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, he's really reaching up there.
He said fight night headline.
There's a lot of good options, I think, for Fiziev. He's back in the mix now. I think it's great.
Oh, it's great to have him back. Yes, and by the way, they were talking about maybe his knee not being 100%. Maybe that's why he didn't shoot for the takedowns later. But I thought he looked great for a guy who was taking a fight on 10 days' notice. The hair looked fantastic as well.
Yeah, they were saying the toe. Something happened with the toe.
Oh,
and
they
showed
a picture of it bleeding, and it looked like the skin had split off of it.
Let's talk about some of the other results. Ignacio Bahamondes, I guess, knows some jiu-jitsu. He submits Jalen Turner in the first round via triangle choke, and afterwards, Jalen Turner told the media that he has retired. Did you guys see that?
No, I did not see this. Holy shit!
Okay.
Wow,
I saw that. I believe that was courtesy of John Morgan. If we can find the tweet, he told him that he retired, and he told him he was thinking about it since UFC 300. You'll recall that he lost at UFC 300, and this was a guy not that long ago, was considered like one of the brightest young prospects in that weight class.
5-fight finish streak in July of 2022. He's now 1-4 since.
And apparently retired. How old is Jalen Turner?
29.
29, the tarantula. Yeah, crazy. Let's see if he sticks to it, but definitely saw that. And I don't think he spoke to the media, but I definitely saw the tweet from John Morgan. We have a tweet
from Mike Bond. Jalen Turner just told us in press row he's likely retiring after his UFC 313 loss. You know what? I kind of get it from the perspective that, like, you could, if you're Jalen Turner heading into this fight, and it sounds like he was talking about this after UFC 300. Bless you.
Bless you, young man.
Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
If you're Turner heading into this fight,
Frank, how do you feel about that? Right into the microphone.
Bro, I was trying to keep that shit away.
Is Frank still there?
I can hear it all the way through the hallway.
Fuck.
As long as
the problem is they can't edit it out now because you've all acknowledged how loud.
Oh, sorry. Well, so good. It was a great
just
moment.
cut this whole part. I'm just going to continue my point as if it never happened. If you're Turner heading into this fight, you can easily justify the losses on your record, right? You look back at it.
Is there a better 14-9 guy out there?
Yeah, Mateusz Gamrot, Dan Hooker, King Green, Renato Moicano. For that run, you can go, look, I just reached the level of competition. I wasn't ready for it. I'm still a young man in this game. 29 is a young man. I'm getting my feet under me. When you lose to Ignacio Bahamondes, that to me is a different level, right? Now, he's on the rise, but you are not now facing the guys who are at the cream of the crop, the top of that division. Renato Moicano just fought Islam Makhachev for a title. Dan Hooker was going to be in the co-main. Like, you're talking about the cream of the crop. Ignacio Bahamondes is not there yet. And so I understand if you're Jalen Turner looking at your career and going, man, I had that momentum. I don't have it now. Maybe this ends up being a long time away and he comes back. But I kind of do understand. This was a different loss than the ones previously.
Yeah, and if he was thinking about it since 300, then you come back and lose again, then you say, all right, I'm done. Amanda Lemos versus Yasmin Lucindo, that happened.
Tough game plan from Lucindo.
By the way, there's still I think 5 or 6 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, what was
that? Yeah. I don't know. They're just like, all right, enough.
I was walking out to go to the bathroom. They're dapping up with 4 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
But Lemos wins. Mauricio Rufy defeated King Green. Oh my gosh, I need this back into my soul and my veins. With one of the all-time, I almost forgot that this happened because it was so long ago. One of the all-time great knockouts. It was shades of Edson Barbosa against Terry Edom, UFC 142, and on the Uncrowned Instagram page, they posted something, and who's the top comment? Edson freaking Barbosa with the fire emoji. How cool is that? A spinning wheel kick, an absolute beauty of a spinning wheel kick. Once again, fighting nerds, all they do is win. It is so much fun watching these guys. John Silva yesterday at the press conference was fantastic with Bryce Mitchell. Can I just say as a quick aside, and we'll talk about all of this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, et cetera, et cetera. The Bryce Mitchell-John Silva interaction yesterday was some of my favorite in UFC press conference history. It was straight out of like 1986 WWF with like they ask Mitchell a question and he just recites a Bible verse. It was unbelievable. I loved everything about it. And then John Silva, just saying F Bryce Mitchell and showing up with the globe. It was unbelievable. I feel like it should be a main event. It was so damn good. But anyway, Rufy wins and afterwards calls for a main event fight against Beneil Dariush of a fight night. King Green, another tough knockout loss. His hands were down, tough against a guy like that. But I mean, just if you didn't see it, do yourself a favor, go find that knockout.
We were saying all week that Rufy was the one fighting nerd guy that we really needed to see, like him put a stamp on like a moment of, wow, I cannot believe he just did that. And he did exactly that against King Green tonight.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's March 9th right now. If something tops that, just book it. KO of the year, in my opinion. Joshua Van versus Rai Tetsuira. I'm probably butchering that. Am I butchering that? Can I get a backup?
Saruya?
Saruya, yes. I knew I should have written it out phonetically. Anyway, made history. the first time in UFC history that two gentlemen born in the 2000s fight, 2002 versus 2001.
Feel old
wild.
or what?
Yes. I was doing the Great White Northern Sports Show in 2001. I was doing my freaking show at Syracuse University in 2001. These guys were coming out of the womb. Unbelievable. Joshua Van wins via unanimous decision. Bruno Ferreira wins via armbar against Armin Petrosyan. Carlos Leal beats Alex Morono. Very nice knockout there. Myron Santos split decision against Francis Marshall. That was a weird one.
Controversial,
yeah. Ozzy Diaz beats Jordan Santos in the curtain jerker. I would say the prelims were, all right, but pretty much what was expected, like kind of just there as well. But the main card, for the most part, was solid enough.
Yeah, it was like moments of brilliance sandwiched by not a lot, right? Like the
First fight, third fight, fourth fight were all great. Second fight, fifth fight, meh.
Yeah.
The Lemos fight shouldn't have been on pay-per-view.
That was not good.
We said that going into the pay-per-view. We were like, why is this on pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Josh Van Saruya would have been so much better.
Dana White is speaking to the media right now and says that the main event was not what he expected. This courtesy of Aaron Bronstetter, expected more exchanges. He also says that an immediate rematch is probably next.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
All right. International Fight Week.
Would you want that as a Pereira fan, or would you say, can you chill out for a little bit? I think you probably want him to chill.
No, I don't think he's going to chill. That is kind of the argument. I don't know, like.
How can you get excited for number 2? Truly, I don't know how you get excited.
I guess under the belief that they will come in with different game plans and it will be more exciting.
That's great. Do I care?
That's all I can think about.
I just don't see it. I
don't care when it comes around. I mean, it'll be for a light heavyweight title.
Right. Yeah. I would like to see it. I don't think he should come back in 3 months.
Yeah.
But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, that would kill the whole narrative, right? The whole narrative is like he's going to the mountains and he's preparing and he's doing this, and then it's just like he's going to turn around in 3 months and we're going to see the same thing.
3.5 months.
3.5 months. You're right. By the way, I wanted to mention just a couple of other things. Number one, I would love to know what Justin Gaethje was doing in the locker room for the UFC logo to just disappear. How is that?
Both gloves. Off both gloves. That was jarring.
Like, come on. I don't.
You're not buying it?
Well, no, I'm not buying it. And the weird thing about it was, Trevor Whitman, his coach, is the one that's been pushing his own gloves. Was he trying to sneak them in? I don't understand. What were you doing with the gloves that the logo comes? I mean, think about some of the greatest 5-round wars in UFC history. The logo never comes off. And so what was he doing in the back?
Come off so cleanly.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know what that was about. That was weird.
Well, actually,
and the other one. Oh, tell us.
I'm sorry. Do you remember when they did the 30th anniversary? Those were all peeling off of the gloves. And
yes,
these are newly manufactured ones, right? Again, I'm sorry. This is the peanut gallery.
But even then,
No,
Frank,
you're right.
No, but even then, we never saw anyone into the ring with just bare gloves.
You are right.
And also, everybody else tonight,
Thank you.
their gloves did not rub off in that way.
Yeah, and it was just weird that it wasn't like half off. It was
completely gone.
Take it off like clean.
Yeah. I'd be willing to put the stamp. This is Glovegate. We need to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. Do you think it should be reversed? No contest.
Oh yeah.
No. I'm not saying
eliminate the
overturn. No, clip it off. Overturn. Glovegate. The other one that I wanted to mention. Shout out to Robbie Lawler. We found out that he's going into the Hall of Fame this summer, and it was amazing. They put together a great video package, and they showed him in the in the picture-in-picture, and he's crying. And this is a guy who's superhuman, who's one of the greatest fighters of all time, but also one of the most stoic and unflappable fighters of all time, at times emotionless. And to see him get so choked up, to see how much it all meant to him. They do a great job with those, and those are my favorites. Those are my favorite moments, when it's a guy who deserves it, who's a little bit older, who didn't just retire yesterday. I know it wasn't that long ago for Robbie, but one of the OGs getting his shine. It's great, and he's already in the Hall of Fame because of the Rory fight. I would argue that he should have gone in first, and I would also argue that the Condit fight was actually better than the Rory fight. I know that's another hot take, but go back and watch UFC 195.
You're right.
Actually better. There was more iconic moments in the Rory fight, the rematch, that is UFC 189, but the Condit fight is criminally underrated. fight of the year on the second day of
fight of the year,
2016 in the greatest year. Did I tell you guys about 2016?
I've heard
Sweet
of it.
16, one of the all-time great years in the history of mankind.
When's the book coming out, bro?
No, but let's get the voice notes going before we lose the.
I know before we lose the memes.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And
Shout out to
also,
Robbie Lawler.
like, it's crazy. It is truly crazy to watch when they were playing that highlight package, the quality of the video of Robbie Lawler's early fights. Because, like, these guys that are retiring now, we don't see the video like that. We don't see videos like that. And it's ridiculous how long Robbie Lawler had done it.
Oh, and all the different iterations. UFC,
the man-off KO
UFC,
in there is crazy.
Man-off KO might be one of my favorite KOs of all time. Him getting his leg kicked up like this, and then remember there was that stretch in Strikeforce where he was so bored he was sleeping at the press conferences, and then he gets the UFC opportunity after they absorb Strikeforce. He comes in at 170 and he knocks out Josh Koscheck, and we're like, holy crap, Robbie, because he was very much a sort of like 500 fighter in the post UFC era. Won the Elite XC title, had the thing with Jake Shields, but it was nothing really to write home about for the most part. And then he comes in and blows through everyone en route to becoming champion. So, yeah, really, really, really great one. I was excited about that one. I was really happy about that. That was one of the highlights of the night for me. And so many guest fighters there because of the press conference yesterday. So a lot of people in attendance. So that was cool. And yeah, Dana White, by the way, saying that he likes the name TKO Boxing. That was the big story of the week. And I also do want to mention commiserations to everyone who had problems ordering on ESPN Plus because apparently there were all kinds of issues. Our own Shaheen Al-Shadi saying he tried for 45 minutes and then had to go over to Hulu. And then Chuck Mindenall said he couldn't buy it. I was fine. I will just say, I don't know if this happens to you guys. Anytime I watch anything on ESPN Plus on my phone, without fail, every 5 minutes it shuts down. The app just closes. Does that happen to you guys?
I was watching my Georgia Bulldogs punch a ticket to the NCAA tournament today, and the app kept crashing.
It's very every annoying. 30 to 45 minutes, the stream goes down for us, and we have to refresh.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, this is our latest post show ever.
Yeah, I mean,
it just clicked to 3 o'clock. Yeah. Shout out! Hey, shout out to Daylight Savings Time.
I just saw it. It's
worth it. It's worth it. Later sunsets. Do have to give a shout out. A $50 super chat from $50 super chat from Love Quinn, and this is worth every penny. He says, "Big Onk owns you all." # and new. Thank you for the $50, Love Quinn. We appreciate you, man. Congratulations.
I'm going to wipe my tears with the $50.
I can't tell you how mad I am, man. I can't tell you how mad I am.
Okay, truly though, right here, right now, Alex Pereira's next fight is
Ankalaev.
Okay.
I'll agree. I'll say Ankalaev as well.
It seems like Dana White's leaning that way. So,
well, I can't wait for Monday, guys. Our old friend Dylan Dennis in studio. That should be fun.
Hey.
Training partner of one Alex Pereira. Maybe he'll have some thoughts.
I bet he will.
Can't wait.
And what else? That's pretty much it. I think it's time to go to bed. What do you guys think?
Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna sleep here, brother.
You guys,
I'll see you on Monday. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
We got the cots ready to go.
Blow up mattress.
Just your like military style.
There's
cot.
couches.
Yeah.
You could just.
I thought we were gonna get rid of daylight savings.
Not yet.
Now that we've moved ahead, get rid of that shit. We don't need it. Later sunsetting at like 7 tonight. Let's go.
Okay, but the thing I never understood was, when do we get rid of it? Do we get rid of it when it moves?
Now.
Like, what's now you...
Connor wants the back end always. He wants the extra sunlight on the back end.
Okay. You know that crazy stat, like there's more accidents on the Monday after daylight savings
everyone's
tired?
More heart attacks.
Really?
Yeah, more strokes. Yeah, actively killing people.
Let's get rid of it.
What the hell? But I say that because I want you guys to have safe travels back home today. I don't want.
That will be all right.
So you're
You
saying
think it affects them like in the moment?
I don't know. I am blood red mad about Ankalaev winning though, so I don't know if I'll be able to.
Oh yeah. Angry driving is a leading cause.
I am furious. About Ankalaev.
Yeah, wow, that hurts. 159.
Do me a favor, GC, to your left, I think there's a box of tissues over there.
Yeah, you need one?
Wipe off.
You guys need one?
You know, for yourself, for you guys.
Yeah,
you
don't
guys are
drive
crying.
home while crying. It's not good.
Oh no! I tucked it into
Daniel
the corner.
Brown threw a super chat. He said, "Boys, they censored the Onyx logo on Embedded, which is, I believe, is Trevor Whitman's thing." So,
You think that was his?
Love Gate of
advertisement?
foot.
Is this the return fire?
Glove
I
Gates.
mean, I wouldn't mind hearing from Trevor Whitman.
Back up.
Peace.
Peace.
Right.
And new. Congrats, Ankalaev.